during the invocation of the pledge. Father in heaven, we honor and glorify your name. Thank you for this good opportunity we have to come together and do work at this city. Thank you for all of its residents. We thank you for all of its employees, and ask you to watch over them. Thank you for this good country you give us. We have an opportunity to come together in a manner such as this. And ask that we never take that for granted. Thank you for the troops in harm's way here and at all corners of the world right now that stand up for that freedom. And ask that you please watch over them and bring them home to their families. I ask at this time that you be with our community and our country and our world as it relates to the ongoing health crisis, that you make those stronger who are sick, and please just watch over us all. We also ask at this time that you please continually be with Diva's family as they rejoice in her many good years, particularly be with Herman, her son-in-law, who watched over her so closely. We ask that you please watch over Kelly and Randy in the loss of their father, Vernon. And again, we thank you for his many good years, as difficult as it is to lose him. In particular, I ask at this time that you please be with that family that's undergone the loss of a child, and ask that you please strengthen them. We ask also that at this time you particularly be with our first responders who confront situations like that many of us take for granted as part of their daily work, and ask you please watch over them, heal them, and give them strength. Thank you most of all for your son. It's in his name we pray. Amen. Amen. One minute pledge of the United States.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Steve and Darren are online.
Okay, so we do not have any proclamations or special presentations tonight, so we move now to public testimony where citizens are invited to speak on any topic or agenda item before and during the meeting by response to the mayor to be recognized. However, unless the item is specifically listed on the agenda, council is required under the Texas Open Meetings Act to limit our response to a statement of specific factual information reciting the city's existing policy on the issue, or directing the person making the inquiry to visit city staff about the issue. No council deliberation is permitted for topics not specifically on the agenda. Do you have anyone that would like to speak during this public testimony? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items under this section are recommended for approval from the consent agenda. These items are of a routine nature and require only brief deliberation by council. Council reserves the right to remove any item on the consent agenda for further deliberation. Those items are A, approved minutes of the August 10th regular meeting, B, approved minutes of the August 17th special call meeting, C, approved bills payable period ending August 24th, D, approved 2021 appointments to the Friends of the Animal Shelter 501c3, and E, approved 2021 appointments to the foundation supporting the River Oaks Community Center. Do you have any, does council wish to remove any of these from the consent agenda?
We approved item A through E on the consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve items A through E on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Move now to item number 8, which is consider and adopt ordinance number 1322-2021, authorizing the issuance and sale of River Oaks, Texas combination tax to limited surplus revenue certificates of obligation series 2021, levying an annual ad valorem tax and providing for the security for and payment of such certificates, approving the official statement, providing an effective date, and enacting other provisions related to the subject.
I believe I'm going to turn this over to Craig. He's our financial advisor. Let him do it all.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and the community. Craig Cunningham, financial advisor to the city of River Oaks. As we discussed on our work group meeting last Tuesday, we went out to sell bonds today. We took competitive bids on the sale of your bonds. We received 3 firms bidding on the bonds. We awarded the sale, subject to your consent tonight, to Raymond James and Associates at a true interest cost of 1.794%. And so I handed out to each of you this document. Steve and Darren, if you, one of the attachments to what Paula sent over is a first page which says sources and uses of funds. So I'm going to walk everyone through a few of these pages. First page, again, sources and uses of funds. We're going to issue $3,265,000 of bonds. You have authorized up to $3,350,000. Because of market conditions and bond selling at a premium, we are able to sell them only $3,265,000 and receive the offering premium of $255,000. That means they're selling your bonds for more than $1 face value. That's kind of a protective way that investors buy bonds in very low interest rate markets expecting rates to rise. So it benefits us in that we get a lot of premium. The uses of funds include the underwriter's discount that was part of their bid, the cost of issuance, which we'll go over in a minute, the 2 projects that we're funding, a little over $1.9 million for improvements here at City Hall and the Annex, about $1.471 million for street improvements, and then that $3,000 below is available for that budget as well.
It is important to say, and you probably were going to get around to it, it authorizes those amounts, up to those amounts, but we can ultimately use those amounts. If we wanted to use the whole amount toward streets, we could do that. So it's not guaranteeing what the council is going to do down the road with the money that's being discussed, but the fact that those numbers have been sketched out for City Hall improvements versus streets, it can ultimately be used for either of those projects. Just want to point that out.
Thank you, Mayor. I would have done it, but I'll save it for others. So anyway, that's the sources and uses. The very next page is what we call a semi-annual, oh, sorry.
Just a second.
Yeah, we didn't hear the answer to those questions.
Okay. Just a second, I'll go back to him.
Couldn't hear what I said.
Yeah.
Basically, I just pointed out, and Craig told me I interrupted him, and he was going to say it anyway, just pointed out that the amounts that he listed for the City Hall improvements and the street improvements, ultimately the whole amount can be qualified for both of those projects, so that doesn't obligate us to spend any specific amount on either of them. So.
And he agrees with that?
Yes.
Well, thank you. The very next page, again, is more for Paula and Marvin, but that's your actual payment schedule for the bonds, showing the principal and interest on a semi-annual basis. That's how bonds are paid. The very next page is just that same thing on an annualized basis. The next page is the pricing summary. This is where we find all the mathematics of how this was put together, but I want to point you down to the very bottom of the page there on the pricing summary. Mayor, I think that's 2 more pages.